channel on your screen, freshman Senator Dr. Donna Campbell, joining us not from her Senate offices in Texas today, but joining us instead from her offices at a local hospital that she is still actively involved with. And Dr. Campbell, some people are a little bit confused. We get to thinking about government in so many different ways across the country, but most of us think that government employees, particularly elected representatives, go and they just camp out at the nation's capital every day all year long. It's like another job. In Texas, you guys have taken a completely different approach towards this, and it's one I wish that we would adopt at the federal level. But you guys aren't in session very long, and that's what makes the times you are in session a little bit spicy sometimes.
It's a short session, and we've got to get everything done we need to do. And I think it's a great policy not to have us in session full time year round.
Yeah. If you're just joining us, Dr. Donna Campbell is an ER physician. She is a longtime medical practitioner, started as a nurse, became a medical doctor, and works in really intense circumstances with people that are facing medical emergencies. And I might add, Dr. Campbell, that the abortion debate has, in large measure, often been co-opted by unanswered questions and innuendo. For instance, well, if you're pro-life, why would you ever want to deny the woman the emergency need to have the seed of a rapist taken from her when she didn't want that pregnancy or that child? When we're talking about abortion as a whole, on the scope of everything, are those claims over-exaggerated and over-dramatized for the emotional effect, or is there a real concern from a medical professional's viewpoint that you've got to have rape abortion kits standing by at every minute of the day because there's just such a demand for it?
It is that is rape and incest. Rape by incest, rape by anybody else. It's a tragedy. While it doesn't happen as often as some would want you to think, even once, one person, it's a travesty.
Agreed. Totally agreed. But what I'm addressing specifically is the over dramatization because from what I understand from statistically, the rate of pregnancies that occur from sexual assaults and those types of things are, by measurement, quite minuscule when you compare that to the number of children lost to abortion through what we would term convenience or lifestyle choice year in and year out. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And I think they exploit the opposition. The abortion industry exploits the trauma, the tragedy, the emotionally traumatic event. They exploit that for the sake of killing the thousands, hundreds of thousands of babies. And even a baby that is conceived in such a tragedy doesn't warrant the added insult a mother goes through with abortion. Yesterday, I met with women who are speaking out the emotional trauma they have, the emotional trauma that they have undergone and lived with all their life. So there's never a healing that takes place when you have one emotional traumatic event and you add a second one with abortion. So it's not a remedy for healing. So that is exploited and overestimated, even though it's totally, it's just a traumatic event. And I don't think anybody, especially those who are pro-woman's health, we're also pro-woman's mental health.
Right.
We are, we're all about healing.
Well,
here.
And there's a lot to be considered in this argument, because for everyone that will take that dramatic step to say that this is why, they will make the argument that abortion for the need of rape or incest is enough to keep it legal on demand all 9 months for all pregnancies. And the truth is, if you're talking about the actual need, and if you even concede that that is a need, and there are many like myself who believe that that looks at the equation completely wrong. If that is a human being, that child, regardless of the circumstances under which it was conceived, has the same rights as every other child that is living. That's my own personal way. But when I get into these debates on Fox News or other places, I'll often say to the people on that side of the discussion, I'll say, okay, let's just pose a hypothetical. If I gave you abortion as legal for the time being, only under the circumstances of rape and incest, would you be willing to make it illegal under all other circumstances? And
Right.
Dr. Campbell, there has never been a single progressive that has ever said, I'll take that trade. Yet we know, those on the pro-life side know, that if we got that kind of trade into legal framework tomorrow, that
Yes.
more than 99%, 99.97% of all abortions would be ended. And that would put the abortion industry as a whole out of business.
Yes. And let me tell you, let me add to that. Abortion on demand at any age, with the trauma and emotional torment that comes with the rape and incest, they know after, they don't need to wait 9 months to decide. I mean, why would it? I would ask the question, why would it take so long to make the decision
Right.
to abort that pregnancy? And also then add that, the sins of the father, if you will, why should an innocent life be destroyed because of that?
Yeah.
There's injustice out there, and, the perpetrator needs to be found and held accountable. An innocent baby has no part of that. And we still have a constitutional right to defend the life of the innocent.
Right. Dr. Campbell, there's not very many women that the press will allow to speak what you are speaking today. So I am grateful that on behalf of the more than 50% of the women in the nation that actually do believe in the cause of life, because the media really shades this issue. They make all pro-lifers look like they're white males, and then they make all pro-choice people females, and oftentimes other races other than white. And what they'll do is they'll pit this as a race thing. They'll pit this as a gender thing. They'll pit this as a equal rights between men and women type of issue. The truth is, and my wife's done a good bit of work with the local crisis pregnancy center, and I've been connected with local pro-life ministries like that for a long time. The truth is, most abortions are carried out not at the behest of a woman who's just desperately seeking the need to kill her child. Most abortions are carried out because there's a man behind that woman that doesn't want to take responsibility for the actions that he took in getting the woman pregnant in the first place.
We have heard yesterday, I did hear stories about how some women, some of the women that spoke yesterday were coerced by either family members or the boyfriend that didn't want to take responsibility. But the ultimate responsibility comes down to, I think, all of us, government, churches, support. We need to support the women, because what we're doing is, while we need to provide support to the women, we want to support the innocent life, our babies. So, there's a lot of coercion that is not addressed. And when you spoke to something very important about how the opposition, and I will say, when I look at the opposition, I look at that as it's the abortion industry. It's an industry. It's a big cash cow industry. They are, they're the ones that frame up these debates, saying that a man should have no decision in this is like saying a man has no right to support our Constitution that says, support life, that all humans have a right to life. It means if a man's faith says support life, a man's not supposed to do that?
Yeah.
And I would bring up another point. If they don't feel like a man has anything to do with abortions or should have anything to do with abortions, then if they want to advocate no male doctor can do an abortion because he doesn't have the place there, then I would bring that forth. I would bring forth that legislation that no male doctor could do it. If they'd be on board with me with that, great. And then when they talk about the government has no place making this decision, I argue that it is our constitutional responsibility, one as a government, to watch out for the general welfare of our state, our government, and the nation.
Yep.
That includes protecting innocent life, supporting our Constitution, which tells us we have the right to life. And if they don't want the government in it, why do they argue they want government funding?
Well, and on that note, some people don't realize this. Planned Parenthood, the largest practitioner of abortions in the country, we paid them more than $500 million of money from the American taxpayers in 2011. They performed more than 339,000 abortions because of that money. That's $1,800 and something each that we paid Planned Parenthood per abortion that they carried out. I mean, it is really true. If you don't want the government involved, don't take the government's money. And I would prefer that we defund Planned Parenthood immediately, because my conscience is heavy that I am contributing on a daily basis to the death of innocent children. That burdens me. And so until we have these laws changed, and until abortion becomes an entirely private sector business or banned altogether, I'm going to continue to advocate for the unplugging of Planned Parenthood. Senator,
you're right. We should not taxpayer fund anything that is is a contradiction of our Constitution.
Absolutely. Senator Donna Campbell is who we're speaking with, Texas State Senator Donna Campbell, and she's an ER physician as well as a public servant in the state Senate there in Texas. Real quickly, what is the plan of attack for the Senate bill that is being reintroduced? What's your expectation of what's going to happen here?
Number one, make sure that we support the democratic process. Make sure, and anyone who wants to speak against the bill has the opportunity. We give them their individual voice in a committee, open hearing. We will support the democratic process. We do have the number of votes to pass this bill. We just have to make sure that that things are done in a timely fashion. And the senators who are pro-life, pro-woman's health, will be trying to help shore up the process so that we don't come down to the ninth hour again.
Are you anticipating that Senator Davis is going to pull another stunt?
She supports the abortion industry, and they
support her.
And they support her.
There's a lot of money at stake. There's a lot of money at stake if she loses this fight.
There is, and they use her as a springboard for values that are not supported by the state of Texas.
Right.
We support pro-life and pro-family. And, I was going to just add a few things. I'm not sure if you're wrapping up.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
When people are wondering, is this really a life? What people the opposition frequently don't stop and think about is physicians count the life in the mother as a patient. They call it a patient. We treat it like a patient. We treat the baby like a patient. In our medications, drug companies have to spend millions of dollars at the government's insistence to make sure there is a safety in pregnancy study done for every drug. So millions of dollars the government insists be done. Lawyers count the baby as a client, especially if something's done by a physician in the first trimester.
Right.
Vital statistics of states require at different stages of birth, different ages of birth, a name, a burial place. In Texas, after 20 weeks. So I'm not sure what happens with the abortion industry when they abort these babies. When a woman has a miscarriage, the baby's given a name at a certain age and a burial place. So judges, juries, when they render a decision because of a crime that affected a mother and baby, it's about two lives. So when it's convenient,